The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Oh, that's Karrion Kross, but in Impact and everything else, he was Killer Kross.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So what's up, y'all? Sorry, that was a little off air conversation that carried on there. I am K Double. That there is Alpha. What's up?
You know how it is.
Yep.
It is a fine, fresh afternoon in COVID America, coming down from it at least.
Of course, we are starting to open up things every now and then, or a little bit by little bit. So, okay, so let's get to talking. Okay, so first we'll open up with the DC shows. God bless them. Like they did the best they did the best they could with it. Considering it was a rushed season finale. I don't believe that this season of Flash was supposed to end after 19 episodes, but they couldn't shoot like the last 4 or 5 episodes because of what's going on with the COVID pandemic and all of that. So we got this rushed season finale that was pretty good. You know, they're on the breach of finding generating a fake Speed Force, and at the end of this episode, for some odd reason, Iris was still trapped in the Mirrorverse, but then she just disappeared, and the other girl, Cisco's girlfriend, was still trapped there with Detective Singh, and they were just like, to be continued. And that was the season finale. Like I said, it felt rushed. This episode of Legends was possibly one of the best episodes of the season. Basically the basic gist of the episode was that they have to go to this college in the 1980s or 1990s or something like that, or maybe it's modern day, but they have to go to this college and join a fraternity or create a sorority or something to get a hold of this cup that they need, because basically they failed with the looms because something was wrong, but the only way to fix the loom of death, a loom of fate, is to have a god fix it. So what the deal is, that they're supposed to go get this cup from this Greek god named Dialysis, that they're supposed that if you drink from the cup, you become a god for 24 hours. Okay?
Oh.
And so the entire episode is about like basically them chasing after this cup. But in the process of chasing after this cup, they have to go to this college and create this fraternity. And it's Sarah, who mind you is blind right now because of some shit that happened to her. All right, it's Ava, her girlfriend. Damn it, I can't remember her name. The girl that they brought up from hell, the girl that Constantine was trying to protect, Astra, and Charlie, right? The god, or the partial demigod. And so they're sitting there, and they're trying to they're trying to join this one sorority, but like Astra's too like hardcore. Like in one of the great scenes from the episode, Astra stands up. They're like telling everybody to introduce themselves, and Astra stands up and she's like, yeah, like I was born on Earth but raised in hell, you know, and life was hard, you know, as I was trapped down there, you know, but, you know, I fought my way to where I almost almost was running things down in hell, but then here I am now pledging this stupid sorority. And I was just like, no, she didn't.
She's honest fuck.
She genuinely just told her story. And what was hilarious was all the other sisters at the sorority kind of look at each other like, oh, okay, and then they're kind of like, yay, and they kind of just start clapping. And I was just like, oh, okay. So, but
at least they're supportive.
Yeah, but the pinnacle moment of the episode is when blind Sarah beats Dionysus, the god of parties, in beer pong to win the cup.
Oh, you mean Dionysus? Okay.
Dionysus, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Funny as shit. Yeah, that's I believe that's the god of wine too, or some shit like that. Great.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. And like she's like pretty much blind. She's wearing the Stevie Wonder glasses and everything, and beats him at a game of beer pong. And basically what they figure out is that he says to them, as long as he has his followers, which were his boys around him cheering him on, like he kept his strength as a god. But if he lost his followers, then the cup could be lifted by anybody, and they would be able to, take it from him. And so by beating him in beer pong, this chick beats him in beer pong.
Blind.
And who's blind, and that caused him to lose all his followers, all of his homeboys, and they were able to drink from the cup. So basically at the end of the episode, they all decide to drink from the cup, and they all become gods for a day. So I guess that's kind of partially what we're going to find out about in the next episode.
Like the Shazam family sort of thing. That's cool. I like that DC plays with Roman and Greek gods every so often, with like Ares as the new villain in the new Wonder Woman movie, I believe, and him having like a big pivotal spot in the Injustice universe and shit like that. I like that.
Big time.
Nice.
Big time. But so great. Now we got the season finales for Batwoman and Supergirl coming up. Lex Luthor has finally revealed himself to be Lex Luthor, and be the primary villain for any episode of any super person episode, whether it's Superman or Supergirl. Lex Luthor is normally the primary antagonist in said thing, so he turns out to be that. They kind of figure out that he's working with Leviathan, and that's what. Yeah, all that's going to come to a head next week on the season finale. And then Batwoman, Kate finally figures out that it's Alice who's pulling the strings on all these recent crimes that are coming on. She's been pulling the strings from Arkham Asylum, so they go over there to Arkham and kind of blow up her whole thing at Arkham. And so now she's on the run, and she's seeking revenge on Kate for basically letting her die. A few episodes back, there was an episode where there were two Alices. There was Alice, and then there was Kate's sister. I forget what her actual name is, but there was Kate's sister from another Earth who, after Crisis, ended up on this Earth, and basically they couldn't both be in this Earth at the same time. And Kate found a cure and chose to give the cure to her sister instead of to Alice. Even though Beth is her name, Beth. Her sister Beth from the other Earth, instead of giving it to Alice, who was her real life sister. Because Beth was, the Beth from the other Earth wasn't crazy, and she wasn't, all fucked up. And so she chose to give the thing that could save them to her, and they sat there with Alice while she died. But what she didn't know was somebody else came back and ended up killing Beth, thinking that Beth was Alice, just with dark hair, and killed Beth. So because Beth ended up dying, Alice ended up surviving and remembering the fact that Kate was going to let her die. So now the rest of the season for Alice, it's been about Alice getting revenge on Kate for basically letting her die. And so that's all going to come to the head in the season finale at the end of this week.
That good multiverse fuckery right there.
There you go. So that's it. And just a little factoid to transition us into whatever the next subject we talk about is. I saw a meme on a thing that said Stan Lee once said that out of all the DC characters, Lobo was his favorite.
Really?
Yes, and that warmed my heart because Lobo has always been my favorite DC character.
It is very, very hard to go wrong with Lobo. Like, in any sense, there has only been one single time where I've ever been displeased with anything Lobo related. Everything else is fucking gold.
The dude beat God. Like after that, it was over. Like, for me, you're my favorite character from now until the day that I die. Like Lobo's just it.
Yeah. I feel it, because, do you know why Lobo can't die? Do you remember it?
Nah. I forget what I even saw it recently because he was a character on Krypton.
Yeah, if you remember, Lobo isn't immortal not because of his healing factor, not because of like immortality, not because of a curse or anything, but it's literally because every single time that Lobo has died, both heaven and hell don't want Lobo there, so they spit him back out into the world of the living.
That's tight. He stays living because he has literally nowhere to go.
Yeah, no, he's immortal purely because he is banned from heaven and hell because they don't fucking want him there. And that's why Lobo is immortal. No other reason. And I find that shit like, that is all you need to know about Lobo's character to know what type of human being he is.
Yep, that's a hell of a
right there.
Man. All right, so the movie that we were going to talk about this week was WWE's The Main Event. Just a quick synopsis of the movie. It was basically your basic like feel good kid gets bullied, finds an ancient artifact that kind of helps him find a way to get over on his bullies, and he uses it for good to try to help out his family who's in financial troubles, and hence the WWE NXT angle on it. But overall, I thought it was a very well written movie for what it was, and I liked it. I did truly enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you that like the main event is the single most nuanced thing I've ever seen, but the angle with the father having full custody of the kid and the mother being the one that left, and the grandmother and the father coming together to raise the main character is definitely different when compared to the normal format that you'd be taking this in.
Right.
And that little line with the father was something that I haven't seen before, so I gladly ate that up. That was cool.
Yeah, where dad didn't even want to talk about mom, and all that. Yeah,
there's a lot of little like genuine reality-driven pieces to that one specific storyline, and I loved the shit out of that. It did a good job of balancing that with Otis farting and shit like that. And
that got me.
The fact that Otis was genuinely just Otis.
Yeah.
He wasn't a character. That was just Otis. Like they had him do the oh yeah and the voice and everything. That was just fucking Otis, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Oh man, no! Like I said, the fart is what got me. Like that was just where it's just
he just fucking blasted him against the rope,
and I love it
then
that
he wins by deflecting off of the rope with that, by rebounding
and headbutting him. Like that was great.
Yeah.
And I love that
it was like a little love letter to the current product of wrestling, damn near.
Yeah. Bro, okay.
Go ahead.
And I'll say, here's the only thing for me, okay? I'm sorry, call me corny, but as corny as a lot of the other stuff was in the movie, it would have fit right in. I thought, I appreciated the wrestling name he used. I thought he should have called himself Leo Rush. Like, when he was coming up with the name, I was just like, if he lands on Leo Rush, that's it. I'm going to hit the floor. That's going to be it for me. And I forgot what he landed on. Captain Chaos or Kid Chaos. Yeah, I was like, all right, I like that. I think Leo Rush would have been better.
That would have been a lot cooler. You're right. That would have been a lot fucking cooler. They should have done that.
But I do like. Only thing I didn't like about it, and it wasn't, I didn't like it as in, haha, it ruined the movie for me, or I'm bitching about it. It just didn't sit well with me, was the finale. It was like, okay, dude, like, come on. I was buying the fact that you're wearing this magical mask, and that's what allows you to do these wrestling moves without killing yourself. But really, like, you gonna throw away the mask or drop the mask to the floor and then do a somersault off the top of a steel cage? Like, real? Come on, kid.
Come on now.
Come on, kid. Like, y'all didn't already stretch the bounds of reality with this movie. Y'all just went on ahead and broke them with that. I was just like, all right, this kid about to kill himself. Yeah, and then what was funny was, bro, is I had this flashback, right? Like after he won and everything, and they're raising his hand in victory and everything. I had this flashback that the movie would just all of a sudden flash, and really he landed on his neck and broke his neck, and all that shit after that was in his head, like because I was just like.
He just lands and just fucking cracks his neck and just roll credits.
Yeah,
roll credits.
and I'm like, and I was just like all that shit with him celebrating was gonna fade away, and all of a sudden you was just gonna come back to him just laying in a gurney, like, oh my god. Call me morbid, call me what you want. I understand it's a feel-good movie, but my brain just flashed to that because the reality of it is, like, come on, dude. No 9-year-old is getting in the ring and completing a fucking moonsault off the corner of a steel cage. And I understand it's a movie. It's not supposed to be believable. I get that, but still, like, I don't know why that thought just crashed in my head.
Come on.
Yeah, it was just... Oh man!
I think that was a double rotation moonsault too.
Yes, it was.
That spells out broken neck.
But I have to say, funny wise, like comedy wise, Grandma was the best part of that movie. Like tenfold, Grandma was the best part of that movie.
The moment that I saw that it was going to be the mom from Everybody Hates Chris, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be golden." Say no more.
Oh, when she started talking about Kofi, and she finally got to meet him, and she was like, I love you! I was like, just had nothing to say. Oh, man, she was great. I love it because it showed the contrast. She looked at wrestling, I'm sorry to say it, there are very few females that watch wrestling that are truly in it to watch, like, the technical aspects of it and the soap opera part of it. They're in it to see the muscular men get out there and toss each other around the ring. And
you know how many? Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like, and she was very much indicative of that in her, in her appreciation for WWE.
She is very much that wrestling fan.
Yes.
I know a lot of women literally in that age group who have told me straight up, like, yeah, I used to watch wrestling only so I could see the Rock's thighs.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so once again, this is Kevin nitpicking. But check it out. Did you notice when they're sitting down to watch Monday Night Raw, and I'm doing the little air quotes, when they're sitting down to watch Monday Night Raw, the New Day were holding the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and the ring color around the ring on the show that they were watching was blue? Hello? John? Uh-oh. Oh, wait a minute. I lost him. Hold on. I don't know what happened there. Let's bring him back in here. So, sorry. Oh, y'all don't need to hear that. Sorry about that.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. What happened?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Oh, I don't know.
It just cut for me. Recording still good?
Yeah, we're still going. I kept this going. But, okay. So,
Sweet,
no.
Let's go.
What I was saying is, I don't know, did you hear the full statement?
Oh, no, I didn't hear the full statement.
Okay, so no, I said, sorry to repeat this for those listening. I said, did you notice how they were watching, the night that they were watching, him and Grandma were watching Raw, and I do the air quotes, the New Day had the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and the ring apron was blue?
Yeah.
I was just like, well, they tried to hide it. But I was just like, yeah, that's not Raw.
They know someone on there had realized that back there working on that. Like,
yeah,
I bet they had already written the script for that because, they wanted to add in that Kofi scene.
Yeah.
But they knew damn well Kofi isn't on Raw and hasn't been in how many years now?
And so they tried their best. They tried their best to try to, like, make sure that there were no direct shots of SmackDown. But them blue belts, like, I couldn't not notice it. Like, I'm like that's the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and y'all supposed to be watching Raw. But all right.
All right.
Yeah.
This is fine too, I guess.
Yeah, and the only really corny part for me outside of, the outlandish WWE corny spots was was just the stuff with like some of the over the top stuff that they put forth as far as the bullying. You know, like okay, we get it. The kid was bullied, but like some of them bullies were like, dude, I would knock the living shit out of you if you weren't a TV character. Like, little boy, come over here.
Here, boy.
But,
fun fact: I think one of those bullies, one of the kids, was actually the son of Randy Orton.
nice. Oh
Pretty
man.
sure, yeah, pretty sure one of them was Randy Orton's boy.
WWE's Ultimate Heel.
Fourth generation, you know they're planning that shit already.
Oh yeah.
Fucking.
It's kind of like Jay
me
and
and my
Silent
family were
Bob.
talking about it the other day. Oh, I know,
Yeah.
no, I'll bring that up on the other segment. What's up?
I say kind of like Jay and Silent Bob when he used his daughter in the reboot as kind of the central character. Well, I'll say.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, that movie was good. What movie do you think we should watch next? Oh, I'll tell you what we should do. If you think you got enough time to binge watch this in a week, we can cover one book every week for the next 3 weeks. For the upcoming next 3 weeks. Avatar: The Last Airbender has just been released on Netflix.
Oh, I already planned on binging.
The entire series. So I figure if we binge watch it, we can do a season a week. And talk about
I'm
season
already ahead of you. Let's go.
Awesome. All right, so next week, look out for that, y'all. So coming up next is, and before we close out this segment, is a segment that means the world to me, and that's because it's my munchkin giving her review of a movie that we watched last night, which was a movie from my childhood, and Alpha happens to remember it as well from his childhood. It was a movie called Drop Dead Fred. It was a little bit of an eccentric movie. It was actually a UK movie that just happened to be popular after its popularity in the UK. Like it was never really it was released in the US, but I don't think it was ever initially intended to be released in the US. But it's a great movie. I'm gonna let my daughter tell you about it. Maddie's Movie Review. Then we'll sign out, do our commercial break, and we'll be back in about 5-6 minutes to talk a little wrestling with you.
Oh yeah.
Hello, I'm Maddie, and this is Maddie's Movie Review. Today we're reviewing Drop Dead Fred. It was made in 1991 and stars Phoebe Gates with this girl named Elizabeth and her imaginary friend Fred, who comes back from a while ago when he was trapped in a Jack in the Box. When Phoebe was a little girl, she had this thing named Drop Dead Fred. He was her imaginary friend. She was with him. She had a hard life, and well, it was hard for her to get along with everybody. Her mom very despises Drop Dead Fred, but Fred was a fun, sarcastic girl. At the age of about 25, Fred comes back, and he can't go back home unless Elizabeth is happy. So, yeah, the whole entire movie basically surrounds these two, and they're hilarious together. From flashing back to back to when Elizabeth was young, and then back to when she's adult. Both Fred with Elizabeth when she was younger, where she loved Fred, and Fred with Elizabeth now, where she despises Fred, is both funny, hilarious, and adorable at the same exact time. It's a comedy movie that's very funny, enjoyable, and lighthearted. That's.
Do you recommend that people watch it?
Yes, I recommend that people watch it. Sorry for the long pause, everybody. Thank you, and that's tonight's Maddie Movie Review. Bye-bye until next time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Maddie's Movie Reviews. You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun. and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
They're fired match. Like, I don't know if you remember that from Impact, but I used to love that shit. Oh, that's who it was. I was talking to Kahari because because he was saying that he thinks that there's a chance, and I was reading this also on the dirt sheets, there's a chance that Otis may cash in his Money in the Bank for the tag team titles.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
okay,
like they may use it to try to cash in for the tag team titles. And I was like, if they do that, that's tight. I was like, but what I would really love to see them do is more of a feast or fire type setup with the 4 briefcases on the 4 poles, and then one dude's going to get released or demoted or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or get taken off TV and repackaged, you know, and then 3 other people, one person gets the, you know, you had the interesting thing because it was always interesting because you had singles players and tag team players in there. So you could have a tag team dude like Otis is in. A tag team dude end up getting the X Division or the heavyweight championship shot, and you could have a singles wrestler end up getting a tag team title shot and having to find a tag team partner to go after the tag team titles with.
Exactly. That shit was cool because then you got to see people like Eli Drake end up with fucking like Scott Steiner.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that's actually how EC3 left Impact and went to NXT, if you remember. It was because he got the feast or fired. He got the fired.
Yep.
Fucks.
Yep, he got the pink slip. And so, like, yeah, like, I would just love to see WWE bring in something like that style of match. Like, oh, but no, here's the first thing we have to talk about, brother. We have to talk about this. Yeah. A big round of applause. A big, loud round of applause for the man becoming the mom.
Oh shit! Right.
I'm surprised we didn't talk about this during the running sheet session. Yes, congratulations to Becky Lynch, and that for me.
The mom.
That for me, her announcement on Monday Night Raw was one of the most beautiful and heartfelt, real moments we've had in wrestling history. You know, because
I agree.
You know, I'm pretty sure from the reaction that a lot of people gave, I'm pretty sure they didn't tell a lot of people backstage. Like, not everybody knew. You know, like, I'm pretty sure Asuka didn't know. Based off of her reaction in ring, I don't think Asuka knew. Either that or she's a hell of an actress. You know, but yeah. And oh, man.
It's crazy now because, like, You have Sting, you have Finn, and now you can add Becky to the list of people that Seth has put out of action.
Yep. Horrible. But did you see the angle that they're playing with him? I think they're going with this angle where like he's such in shock that he's about to be a dad that he just snaps and starts beating the shit out of everybody. Like, I'm serious, dude. Like,
snapping. Does he snap and just start telling dad jokes?
Yeah, you know, like,
he burst into the locker room. He's like, "Who turned up the thermostat?"
You know, but that moment when she tells Asuka, when she's at the end of her speech, and she's like, "You go on, you go be a champion, because I'm gonna go be a mother." That first and foremost, 100% bravo to Asuka for her reaction when she opened up the belt and she was like, "I'm the champ! I'm the champ! Yeah!" I love Asuka. When she celebrates anything, she is just so friggin' awesome.
Dude, when she was celebrating in Money in the Bank after she jumped on all of them, she did that stupid little dance before, like, sliding into the elevator. Fucking perfection.
But her reaction to jumping around, but then how she instantaneously, the reaction immediately changed as soon as Becky said she was pregnant. The reaction immediately changes, and she's just like, "Becky, Becky, Becky." I loved it. Like I said, the most real and raw reaction. Loved it.
And I don't think anyone expected that one, though.
Oh, no.
Curveball of the fucking year at the moment.
And let me also say one other thing about Raw real quick. Y'all need to stop doing Andrade like that. Y'all done finally gave this man some clout. Y'all done finally gave this man a team to work with. And then you got the WWE champion just coming in and cleaning house. Like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're not even cool, and fuck you. Like, I'm sorry, like, you can't just have Drew come out and just destroy them like that. Like, yeah, the Andrade match was a fight, and it was a battle, and it was great and everything, but you just can't have him come out and just destroy people like that. Especially a team like that.
But WWE has a big problem with heel factions, and to make them more heel-like, they just make them substantially weaker.
Yeah.
Like, if you remember, do you remember, I remember vividly watching Roman tear holes through everyone in the League of Nations.
Yeah.
And how instantly that stopped all of their momentum and every bit of fanfare that they had going up to that point.
Pretty much, yeah. Watching that one guy go through them like butter can truly halt their momentum 100%. And yeah, I agree. Like, and this was a faction that I liked. I hope that they don't do that with this faction that they seem to be building. I want my money check. With MVP. You know,
no,
I'm
you're
just
right,
saying,
though. I really hope they don't do that. I really hope that they take what I'm calling the Ciampa route now.
Yeah.
And they actually manage to make any of them or any or all of them a legit menace.
Yeah.
Especially in the form of Lashley. Like, if you manage to make Lashley look weak, then you're not the problem.
Right. Exactly. You know, and I love
no, Lashley's not the problem. So.
Right.
Go on.
I love the angle that they're playing on it with MVP kind of talking to people behind the scenes. Like I said, no offense to Shane Thorne and the other dude, the tag team that he got there, but I would have preferred either the Street Profits, which would, if you bring in the Street Profit, it instantaneously brings in your female wrestler with Bianca Belair. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so like either the Street Profits or Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. You know, if you were going to do a new tag team, something about it. You know what? Maybe though, like you remember, I don't know if you remember the Nation when they first started out, but there was this big white guy and a little white guy.
Yeah.
That used to dress all hip hop. That ran with the Nation when they first came out. That's what I kind of see Shane Thorne and his tag team partner as, except they're just not wearing the hip hop clothes.
They're just not even in the getup at that point.
Right. You know, they're just these two wrestlers. And so, okay, makes sense, whatever. It's still the same faction that I've been preaching about for the past few weeks. So if y'all go through with it, I want my money.
I want my money.
I got digital proof that shows that I've been talking about that.
We have digital proof that we we precedented this shit months ago.
Yeah, all right.
But I just really want to see Lashley be a legitimate force in the ring.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but Lashley has been here for over a year now. And Lashley wasn't always my favorite person or my favorite wrestler. But Lashley can fucking go in the ring. And the fact that he's been around this long and we haven't seen, like, Lesnar versus Lashley, or we haven't seen Lashley be a real legitimate force, not even in the main event sense, it feels like a fucking crime.
Now, don't get me wrong, but I think, once again, I go back to the same thing that I kind of said about the Revolt. Lashley has also had some issues with being able to connect. Now, some of that has been bad writing, because, like, trust me, I understand. That Sami Zayn bullshit storyline would have been better off had him and Sami Zayn just had a series of matches for no reason, with none of the in-between shit. Like, it truly would have been better, because both of them can go in the ring, so that whole feud would have been better. But also at the same time, though, Lashley's failing to take a lot of these even bad storylines and connect with the crowd. Because, yeah, it may be a bad storyline, but if you can still connect with the crowd, you're in a good position. You feel? And I think Lashley still fell into his part about connecting with the crowd. Like, drawing that real heat. You know, I think they thought putting Lana with him and her loud-ass mouth would draw him some extra heat. But really, Bobby Lashley's just not drawing a one way or the other reaction out of the crowd, and I think that's a lot of the problem with why he hasn't really gotten that launch push, because I think the WWE thought he was going to be so over the top, and to an extent he was when he first came back, and they should have struck when the iron was hot. I'm sorry. He's one that I honestly thought should have immediately been put into the championship picture and should have immediately been an opponent for Lesnar.
Yes.
You know, whether he won the belt or not, he should have immediately been in that championship picture. I felt they dropped the ball there. But he has failed to kind of keep that momentum that he had first coming in. And it sucks, but it's 70% WWE, 30% Lashley.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, of course, everyone knows Lashley is not the best character storyline-wise.
Yeah.
Well, Lashley is a great wrestler, okay character, you know? But I think there is a handful of people that you have to capitalize in a certain way that it's based off of their work rate, not their character. Lashley is one of those people, you know, push him as a physical force, not, you know, Lana's boyfriend.
Right.
Because that is the more story-driven sense. And you have characters like Otis who are the complete opposite. Is Otis...
You want to push his personality, yeah.
Exactly. Otis is not like the most physically imposing human being, nor is he the best wrestler, but he's an absolute amazing character, so they push him as a character, not a force.
Right.
They didn't really differentiate that with Bobby, because I know Bobby's an incredible force in the ring.
Right. But he does.
You do have a point with that, though. For the most part, there has been just so many disconnects with him and the current WWE audience.
And not to mention the fact that, I'm sorry to say this, and a lot of people hate when I say this, but Bobby Lashley, and I said this one of the first times out, he has Mike Tyson syndrome.
Yeah.
He's this big dude with not a really, really super high-pitched voice, but a voice that's a little too high-pitched for him to be intimidating. Because the brain just has the disconnect. Because you got to, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people are like a prime example. A lot of people got to understand when it comes to fathers with children, when they talk about your dad voice, what they're talking about is when you put that bass in your voice, that bass that rattles your child at the bones, and they understand that you are not playing. People expect big guys like Lashley, like Brock Lesnar, who has the Mike Tyson syndrome as well, which is why Paul Heyman is a better mouthpiece for him than he is speaking for himself. You know, you expect to hear that bass in their voice, like The Undertaker. His voice. But what's funny is Mark Calloway. When you watch The Last Ride, when you listen to Mark Calloway talk, when he's just relaxed and he's normal and he's Mark, he don't sound like The Undertaker. He don't sound that intimidating. But when he's in character, when he's The Undertaker and he's cutting them promos, that's the voice that you expect to hear from a big man like that. And that's what I mean by the Mike Tyson syndrome is Mike Tyson will look really, really intimidating until he opens his mouth and looks at you and goes, "I'm going to whip your ass." It's just hard to take him seriously. Even though everything in your brain and your optical scans is going, this boy is about to whip your ass. He's about to knock your head off your shoulders. You can't help but to giggle because of the voice. And so Bobby has that issue, and I think that was part of his issue with why he didn't connect too well with the WWF universe when he was there before. He connected well enough to be able to get pushes because of his size and stuff like that, but he didn't really connect like Stone Cold did, like The Rock did, etc. And it's a similar thing here, and a lot of it has to do with his voice. Is that you see a Bobby Lashley and you just don't expect that high. You expect a deeper, more voice out of him, and you
Lashley is not that.
Exactly. So
that is definitely a good point. Good point. All right, where are we going from here? You want to talk about heel Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny Gargano is just, man, I'm not feeling you. Like, I'm just,
I think...
Let me say it more like this. I'm not feeling those segments. I'm not feeling those Dinner with Gargano segments. I'm just not. Like, if they just came out and they caught them backstage and just, they cut a promo, I'd probably be more about what they're talking about. But I'm not digging on these Dinner with Gargano segments. But go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah. No, you're right, though. It is on part of the segment of how weird they are, to say the least. But there is such a problem with heels in wrestling in the current state. And, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the business better than anyone else. No. But kayfabe died years ago.
Yeah.
And, like, MJF flipping off some little kid that just wants an autograph that knows it's fake, that's not good heel work. You're just being an asshole.
Right.
And on the same note as that, on the mirror side, you have people like Gargano and Candice, who, don't get me wrong, are fucking great wrestlers. Yeah. And I don't mean just in the ring. I mean just great wrestlers as a whole, on the mic, in the ring, backstage, fucking wonderful wrestlers as a whole. Yeah, exactly. But there is more to being a heel than wearing dark clothes, adding a piano to your theme, wearing darker colors, and just being mean. I make the joke all the time that when Dean Ambrose turned heel before he left, it was, I'm not Dean Ambrose, I'm Mean Ambrose now. Yeah, it's like there's more to a heel than just wearing dark clothes and being mean,
Right.
If Bayley's heel character had even a quarter of the depth that her face character has, she would be the best fucking heel on SmackDown Live right now.
By far.
And it's exactly, and it's the same with Johnny and Candice.
Yep.
If they had like as much depth and reality within their heel personas, and it wasn't just, I'm tired of being the good guy and being
I want to
nice.
be mean. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's more to a heel than just doing that. Right. Why was Ciampa a heel? Because they rejected him immediately upon his injury, and the crowds immediately wanted to replace him. And then Ciampa realized that he was expendable to the entirety of the NXT universe, and he started focusing on himself and winning, and he became obsessed with the title because he lost the crowd. That's character. That's good heel work. But sorry, go on.
I find the best heels are people that are people that don't care about the reaction that they get. They're not out there being mean to draw boos. They're not out there doing the things they're doing, or at least, they're not acting like they're out there doing it to try to draw heat. They're out there they're out there doing it because on some primordial DNA caveman level, they enjoy the shit that they're doing. Like, that's the feeling that I always got from Ciampa that drew me to him as a heel. Is some of the nastiest shit he did in the ring. You just felt like he enjoyed it. Like, he really enjoyed it. And to me, that's good heel work. Because heels, by nature, are going to do bad things. I'm the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? But when you put that, when you put that feeling on it, and you make the crowd feel like you just truly enjoy it. Once again, this is why I think The Rock was so over as a heel. is that you felt like he truly enjoyed the shit he did. One of the best scenes I've ever seen with The Rock. It's one of the funniest. It's one of the best. And it's one of the best examples of Dwayne Johnson being The Rock. It was a empty arena match between him and Mankind. It was on a Super Bowl halftime show. And they worked their way back into the corporate offices. I forget which arena that they were at, but in the arena that they're in. And Rock literally picks up the phone and goes, "Hello? Yeah, this is The Rock. Yeah, you want to talk to Mankind? No, he can't come to the phone right now. He's being choked out." And then wraps the cord around his neck and just starts choking him. And I'm like, it's moments like that you could just see it. And that The Rock was enjoying himself, but Dwayne Johnson was enjoying the fucking shit out of himself.
Yes,
that,
sir.
To me,
Fucking...
is the best heel work.
Exactly. Like a large part of it is just also looking like you're really enjoying it. Ciampa just looks like he is utterly fucking euphoric after he slams someone onto the concrete.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. But it's also connecting to things in the right ways.
Yeah.
Like when Toys R Us was going out of business and everybody was sad, you know, everybody was like, "Oh, my memories, my childhood, I remember this and this from Toys R Us." Do you know what Ciampa did? He went straight to Twitter and was like, "I worked at Toys R Us to pay for my wrestling bills, to pay for wrestling school. And when I told my boss that I was working here at Toys R Us to pay for my wrestling school, he laughed me in the face and told me I wouldn't be anything." And then he finished the statement with, "And look where we are now."
Damn. See, and once again, that's just a small little story, whether true or not, that advances his character and shows you even more of a reason without him being like, he could have just came on and said, "Well, fuck Toys R Us," and it made people pry for more of an explanation as to why he was saying that. Instead, he gives you this sweet little soliloquy that's basically a nice little like 2-sentence paragraph that's saying "fuck Toys R Us," you know, like,
exactly.
like it's still saying the exact same thing, but it does it in such an eloquent way that it draws you into him instead of pushing you out. And that's the good thing. That's the thing with good heels. Is good heels draw you in. Good heels, really good heels, make you like them for being a heel, which is what MJF is trying to do, and is done with the lowest common denominator. But for most wrestling fans, it just doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? But you know that you want to be so, because that's what Stone Cold did. That's what The Rock did. That's what Triple H did. They were such good bad guys that you couldn't help but like them.
Absolutely fucking infectious is the word.
Yep.
But my personal favorite is when 2K19 came out. And they approached Ciampa to be added into the game. And he publicly told them no, purely because he knew people wanted to play as him in the video game.
Now that's
so he
some
gave up
work.
that money.
Yeah.
And didn't give them the rights for his name purely because he knew it would piss people off.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
My fucking favorite.
All right, so...
All right, that was my final on that one. Let's keep going.
Okay, so before we get to Double or Nothing, I want to sidetrack us with this. I was reminded while we were talking about this conversation I had with this young gentleman on the Tales from the Doldrums, the AEW fan page. Or not AEW, this is one of my sports fan page. This woman puts up a thing and says, "Is WWE, do you consider WWE a sport? Yes or no? Like, do you consider wrestling," and then she put in parentheses WWE, "a sport?" I put yes. And my rationale behind it was, if skill competitions like golf, cheer, and gymnastics can be considered sports, then pro wrestling can be considered a sport. And this dude's like, "Well, no, you said it yourself. It's competitive. It's competition. If it's scripted, there's no competition." Bullshit. If you've ever worked a wrestling event or talked to anybody who's worked for a wrestling company, it's probably one of the most competitive businesses you'll ever see in your life. They literally
do
have...
people not know that, like, sorry.
No, I was like, they
Like,
literally have to go out there.
That pay is based off of position on the card, and you have to work to get to that position.
Exactly. I'm like, it's not traditional. It's not competition in the tradition like you like to see it, like two people just get in the ring and see who the better person is. But to an extent, that's what they're doing. Yes, it's all scripted, but the person that can perform better, the person that can sell better, the person that can give a hit better, will be the person that's moving up the card, the next card that you're on. And that will be the person that's making more money. So there is a competition level to it. And I was like, and there's even a score that's kept, except it's not kept by just random judges. The scorekeepers are the bookers who book the matches. I was like, just because it's not traditional sport the way you see it, doesn't mean that it's not competitive just the way you see it, doesn't mean it's not competitive. He's like, you're a moron, dude. You just don't want to deal with WWE. It's fake. I was like, the fact that you call it fake instead of scripted shows that you have no respect for the business. It shows that you don't know what you're talking about. And he's just like, well, yeah, no. And I was like, have you ever met a wrestler? Have you ever sat down and talked with a wrestler? Have you ever shared these opinions with a wrestler and seen what they say? Well, I don't give two shits about what a wrestler says. Well, guess what? I don't give two shits about what you're saying. Because the bottom line is, and he's like, what does that have to do with this conversation anyway, about whether or not wrestling is fake? I was like, it has everything to do with whether or not wrestling is fake. I was like, because I understand the business. I've lived the business. I was like, I've never wrestled a match before in my life. I was like, but I've lived in the business. I was like, I've literally lived with a pro wrestler for 3 years. I was like, I've spent time sitting down and talking hours on end with pro wrestlers. I know the business inside and out. So I can tell you from experience, in fact, that WWE is as much a sport as golf, gymnastics, or cheer. I didn't say it was as much of a sport as NFL or the MLB. I said if you can call the skills competitions of competitive cheerleading, golf, and gymnastics a sport, then you can consider pro wrestling a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And that
like
was
if I can sit down and go win a scholarship from playing esports, and that's considered a genuine sport now, then you best believe pro wrestling, an industry where people die on not like on the fucking norm, but people have died in that ring. Then I think at very least it deserves to be called a sanctioned sport.
Right.
100%.
And then I told him, I felt like I dropped the nuclear bomb on this one and just ended the conversation when I told him point blank and simple, bro, you want to know about whether or not the rest of the world thinks WWE is a sport? When our president, number 45, called the fucking meeting of all the commissioners of all the sports leagues in the U.S., Vince McMahon was on that call. Enough said.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to know.
Do you think he was there just because he fucking cares? No. It's because Vince McMahon is a sports giant. Say that again. Sports giant.
I was like, they're like, but it says entertainment at the end of it. Yes, it's sports and entertainment. It's sports. It's sports with a little bit of storyline to it. You look at it as the entertainment means it's fake, but that's the whole thing about it. I dare you. I felt like telling this dude this, but I didn't say it. I was like, oh, it's fake? It's fake? I want you to come over to my house or meet me somewhere. We'll find some place that's the equivalent of a wrestling ring. Basically a hard piece of wood that's a little bit bendy. That's a little bit flexible. We'll go find that. We'll put a half-inch mat over it. And then what you're going to proceed to do is you're going to sit there and you're going to proceed to let me body slam you. And then you're going to proceed to let me... Yeah, and then you're going to let me German suplex you. And then you're going to let me... And then he's like, I understand it's dangerous. I never said it wasn't dangerous. I just said it's not a sport. It's actually more dangerous than most sports that you play. And I was like, I'm just serious.
It's just annoying because people will be like, I'll try to explain it, and I'll have to hit them with define a sport for me.
Yeah.
What is a sport? And they'll usually be like, oh, it's a physical activity. And I'll be like, then what the fuck is that? Is that not physical activity?
Well, most people that I find nowadays, what they hang on to is the word competitive. And they see no competition in it because the endings are scripted. But I'm like, competition doesn't just mean two people battling it out to do it. I'm like, by your definition, I told this one dude, I was like, by your definition of sport, When my daughter reads a fucking book in her class and she's competing for a better grade than her classmates, that's a sport. Because it's competitive. I was like, when my daughter is playing on the seesaw with her friends out in the playground, that's competitive. So it's a sport. He's like, well, it's more competitive than anything WWE does. I was like, see, I'm not even going to respond to that comment because you don't know what you're talking about. Period. You're making comments off of something that you have zero information about. You heard somebody tell you that wrestling was fake at some point in your life, probably your big brother or your cousin or some shit. And so you got this image.
It's been that shit since.
Exactly. You never watched it or gave it a chance and developed an opinion of it of your own. You just went off of what somebody else said. And I can tell that basically by the way you talk about it. Because anybody that has watched wrestling for any significant amount of time or has had significant interactions with wrestlers never, ever, ever calls it fake. Because they understand that that's disrespectful and to the people that go out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the injuries that they suffer for our entertainment.
Exactly. My favorite story I love to bring up is when Taker and Vader went on an interview like 30 plus years ago. I think it was some place south of the border. I can't really say for sure where it was, but some guy was like, he straight up looked Vader in the eye, you know, Big Van Vader, 350-pound fucking mammoth of a man. And he said something about wrestling being fake.
Yeah.
And I think he either grabs him by the throat or he just slaps the taste out of his fucking mouth and you're like, did that feel fake to you?
Yep. You know? Like,
and Taker's just chilling there in the chair, just like watching it happen.
my homeboy, Jamil Mathias, he's been on the show. He's the owner and operator, or one of the owners and operators of NPC Comics. We had him on the show early on.
Yeah, boy.
He, when he used to work as a trainer for the APW boot camp, he used to always tell me, somebody calls wrestling fake. He goes, don't get angry, don't yell at them, don't scream at them. He said, look them square in the eye and tell them to go ahead and bring their ass on down and talk to me. And I'll set them up with a 3-minute training session. We'll run the ropes for a minute. They'll take some chops, and they'll take some suplexes. And if they're man enough, they'll come down here and do it. Because if they're man enough to call wrestling fake, then they're man enough to come and see exactly how fake it is. And I was just like, wow, well, there you go. Luckily, since he said that to me, nobody's had the nerve to say that wrestling was fake. So most people that I know that I deal with refer to it as scripted.
That's exactly the way that you should.
And that's exactly the way it should, because the only thing that's fake about it is the fact that the outcome is predetermined. That is literally the only fake thing about it. Other than that, they really punch each other. They really hit each other. Yeah, do they stomp on the ground when they hit for extra effect? Yes.
Absolutely.
Because that person in the third row on the third deck can't hear it if they just plain punch the dude. So you add a stomp for some emphasis. But that doesn't mean that they don't really hit the person.
Mm.
So
and that's all there for a reason. Because have you ever bothered to watch something like CMLL, where they don't really do that? It looks a lot less impactful and a lot less like presentable. You know, right. It makes it exactly as you should. People in the nosebleeds are they can't hear shit.
Like what?
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, man, we're getting to the hour mark, so let's go ahead and get on this Double or Nothing and look over this card. So we'll start with the first match listed. This is not the match order, so people know. And it starts with Cody versus Lance Archer. It doesn't say anything about Tyson refereeing the match, but I know that it definitely said, I saw the poster saying that he's going to be presenting the title to the winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know, he may be reffing the match. But Cody
I don't know.
with Brandy Rhodes will take on Lance Archer with Jake Roberts for the inaugural AEW TNT Championship.
I immediately am all for this. I don't know if I've said it. I think I might have said it a long time ago. I talked about Lance Archer now. Shit, that was his WWE CW persona.
Yeah.
Lance Archer. I talked about him a long time ago when I was talking about the G1.
Yeah.
But I had if you remember, I had said that, he was really coming to his own in that, and he was really like making something of himself in that.
Yeah.
And I stand by that because that really put him on the map for me, and since then he has torn it up all over the place. I don't know if you've seen, but the dude is fucking massive. I think he is or is close to 7 feet tall. He's utter fucking monster of a man. But for a dude of that size, he's a pretty good wrestler.
Hell yeah. I'm all about hold on, I gotta send somebody a text.
Go for it.
But no, yeah, I'm juiced for that match. Like, I just have this weird feeling since Cody's the one that's been told he's not gonna have he's not gonna have a world heavyweight title shot anytime in the near future. That because of, that whole match with Jericho and all that, I think he's gonna end up winning it. But I think the match itself is going to be super important. Like, it's going to be super good. Like, I think that you're going to see a lot of back and forth, and you got Cody with looking, not only wanting to win the title, but also wanting to look for revenge for how bad Archer beat down Dustin the round before. So, like, yeah, I think it's going to make for a great storytelling, and Cody Rhodes has always delivered whenever he gets in the ring. So I expect it to be an amazing match. These two have worked together before, I believe. But even if they haven't, they're both professionals, so I don't expect anything but a quality match out of it. Next up is the wannabe heel MJF taking on Jungle Boy in a singles match. I'm gonna call him the wannabe heel until he learns how to really be a heel.
It is right. That's true. Like, there was a little video of that heel wrestler coming in on some like backwater high school gym level promotion. And he's walking into the crowd, and to be a cocky heel, he spits his gum onto a kid, and the kid's dad just decks him in the fucking mouth.
Good.
It's on the spot. I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Well deserved. You're right.
Leave the kids alone. Do
exactly
almost whatever you want to the adults, and leave the kids alone.
Mm-hmm.
The adults understand it's part of the show. It is what it is. The kids don't know.
Kids not so much.
So...
I'm always hyped to see Jungle Boy, though. Yeah. Always. Good as shit.
I want to say, I hope he wins the match.
No doubt it'll be a good match.
I have a feeling it's going to be MJF winning the match, but it should be in a good match just the same. Both are still pretty green, so you might see some botches, but overall it'll be a good match. Third up is the current AEW World Champion and his what-the-fuck opponent, Brody Lee. Like, I don't understand what the hell Brody Lee has done since he's been in AEW to deserve to be in the AEW World Title picture, yet alone getting a title match at Double at basically their version of WrestleMania. Yeah, I think it's because I think it's because I don't know if you know, but Moxley and Brody Lee have a big past together. Do they? From when they were with the Shield and the Wyatt family and all that?
No, way further than that, actually.
Really?
My unadulterated, stupid ass amount of knowledge for John Moxley be coming in clutch sometimes, I swear. But back in CZW, before John Moxley had the pink hair, and when Brody Lee was actually Big Rig Brody Lee, they used to have a lot of crazy ass hardcore matches in CZW with each other. I'll find one of their old ones, but they used to fuck each other up bad. I'm talking. I think Moxley got a pair of scissors pushed through his tongue at one point.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and he just tanked the shit. I believe, Brody Lee might have been the man who injured Moxley to the point where he had to get like 24 stitches in his back across a massive gash.
Wow!
But them two used to fucking kill each other back in CZW. So I'm thinking that this is what it's a reference to, because they have worked with each other a lot. But
okay.
I'm pretty hyped for it.
Well, that makes it make a little bit more sense. So.
Yeah, exactly. Now it doesn't seem... But no, yeah, without knowing all that fucking context and shit, you're right, it does seem a little bit hastily put together.
All right, so I have this weird feeling that, once again, due to Brody Lee's newness in the company, this is going to be a match that will end with Moxley winning. And I think if anybody had the best shot at taking the title from Moxley early, it was Jake Hager. But since they didn't go with that, I'm pretty sure that Brody Lee won't be it. At least if AEW is smart. Let's see. Okay, so next up we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 9 man. 3. Of which we only have 6, so there's 3 other people that are going to be in this match. But so far we have Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Rey Fenix, Scorpio Sky, and Kip Sabian. So we got 6 out of 9. And 3 more to be announced. I'm assuming that some of them will probably be former WWE guys. In a 9-man casino ladder match for a future AEW World Championship.
I think, besides the Moxley match, I'm most hyped for that match.
Nice.
I know it'll be a spot fest, but I'm ready for that.
Bro, that's what those X Division matches were with the damn X thing and everybody hanging off of it, and I forgot what the name of that match was. It was an X Division match, and they used to have the X Division title hanging from the ring, and you used to have people would fucking do the gorilla crawls on the ropes over to the things and all that. I forgot what the name of the match was. Ultimate X.
Ultimate X.
Yeah, those were spot fest too, but they were amazing matches. So I can expect that this would be something similar.
Yeah. That's definitely the best way of putting it.
I have no prediction on winner because, well, fuck, anybody could win that match, literally.
Yeah, that's hard to pin down.
Yeah, well, I'll say, but next up we have the Women's Championship with Nyla the Beast Rose taking on Hikaru Shida, the number 1 contender in a no disqualification, no count out match for the AEW Women's World Title.
All right. Of course, Nyla Rose is going to walk out of that champion, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
too.
you want to talk the women's division as a midway here?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, and I'll list off the other match that I don't see before we get to the main event, which probably is the main event. There's also another women's match in Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Chris Statlander. So, but yeah, the women's division as a whole for AEW is kind of, the best way I can think of to say it is there's kind of There's nothing too impressive about it, but there's nothing really super bad about it either.
Yeah.
I think they could sop up. Oh, speaking of, I thought the Iconics were gone from WWE. I thought they had gotten released. I think a lot of people assumed that until they came back on Monday.
Actually, do you know why they were on break?
Why?
Have you noticed? Did you notice what happened to Renee Young when Jon Moxley signed with AEW?
No, that she kind of got pulled from commentary and
they plucked her from the commentary team. They took her show on the network.
Yeah,
and I believe they hafted that with Peyton Royce, who is dating Ty Dillinger. I don't remember which one of them. One of them was dating the former Ty Dillinger and the now Sean Spears. And then when he left and joined AEW, they were like, oh, we got to give you some time off because of that, I guess, and pulled her away from it.
Well, I think basically what it is, and this is going to sound weird to people, it's giving them an opportunity to decide what they want to do. Do you want to leave?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to come back and want to leave? And, because basically what they don't want is them thinking that they got this person locked up and they're cool and this person's going to want to stay with the company. All of a sudden, I want my release because I want to go be with my husband. Or I want my release because I want to go be with my boyfriend. You know, and so they give them a little bit of time. They give them a little bit of time off of TV to think about, well, do you want to stick with us or do you want to go with them? You know, and it looks like both of them made the decision that they wanted, because Renee Young was just in a segment. You just reminded me, right? Renee Young's role in fucking Main Event was off the fucking hinges. She was fucking hilarious. She's like, somebody gonna die here tonight. Corey Graves was like, Corey Graves was like, nobody's gonna die. You see that man? You putting an 11-year-old in the ring with him? Somebody gonna die here tonight. Corey Graves was like, no, people, nobody's going to die here tonight. I was just like, she had me dying with that. But I think
the best part about that shit is because Corey Graves didn't play anyone. Corey Graves literally played himself.
Yes, exactly. Oh man,
masterclass. Renee is charming as shit. One of the worst things they did in the past 2 years was take her off the commentary team.
Yep. Amen.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think when you look at AEW's women's division, as much as I do love Kenny Omega and the foot that he put out for scouting that whole division, it just doesn't really do it for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I don't find too much. I don't find anything I can really, what's the word? Jesus. Invest myself into, you know?
Yeah.
You have Awesome Kong, who is cool, but works certainly an interesting gimmick in AEW. Nyla Rose is cool in concept, but an okay wrestler at best.
Yeah.
Britt Baker is a lukewarm level heel. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, and that's saying something.
Yeah, it is. It's like I hate to say it like this, but it's true. There's more forgettable stuff about the AEW women's division than there is things to remember, and that's just the reality of it.
And it's weird because AEW has such a fucking strong men's division.
Yes, 100%.
Like just stacked roster. But we're gonna roll into that. Want to roll into that main event?
Yeah. So the main event is the Elite, featuring Damascus, Matt Hardy / Broken Matt Hardy, along with them, and against the Inner Circle. So so I think that match is going to be pretty good overall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how you feeling about it, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. Like,
I think it's going to be pretty good. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a great wrestle match, but I think just like we talked about that casino match earlier, it's going to be a spot fest.
Yeah, especially with the Elite multi-man matches always break down to spot fests like that. But you know, sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Yep.
And like in terms of who's going to win it, I can see either side, but because of how the Elite runs things, I can definitely see Jericho and the Inner Circle walking out of this predominantly.
Yeah, just
but
because
I
it's
wouldn't
time
be
to give them a
surprised if
push.
the Elite. Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't also put it past them to push the Elite in favor of pushing Matt Hardy as something bigger too.
True.
There's a lot of directions that they can go with this, and quite frankly, I'm okay with any of them.
Same here. I feel you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that they will choose an interesting twist somewhere in there, because the AEW writers have been on fire as of recently. Not with everything, like we just talked about the women's division, but for most of the stuff they're doing, they've been on fire.
Yeah, I agree. I think Double or Nothing definitely has the card to be something really, really good.
Yeah.
You good?
Hold on. What?
Shit fucking
Okay.
up.
No, I was trying to order some food from Applebee's on DoorDash, but it wasn't letting me place my order.
That's always fucking good when that happens.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yes, that main event looks to be pretty good. And like I said, like you said, this week's Raw, SmackDown, etc. look to be pretty good as well. We got Double or Nothing coming up. Should be today when people are listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Yeah. All right, cool. Is
All
there
right,
anything
yeah,
else
so-
we got to hit?
Nope. Like, we're all good. Fine then. Since you don't,
All right.
since you don't want my money, Applebee's, I'll order from Mel's Diner then. Fudge you.
No bangs, dude.
Yes, it does. I ordered Mel's last time, but I was trying to get some variety and do an Applebee's and fudge them too. So, all right.
Allowed
So,
today,
yeah,
I guess. But.
I'm gonna get off this. I'm gonna get off this thing and get ready for tonight's show. It's Friday night, so I'm gonna get ready to do my show KD5P tonight. Y'all can catch me here just about every Friday night until sports are back, and then it'll be KD5P and Double K's Classroom. Next weekend we'll have West Coast Bias. We're gonna be discussing The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, the documentary about Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls. And then this Sunday we have, or today. Earlier today, I hope you listened to the battle between the Saint and one of the CEOs from one of the other internet radio stations on Spreaker. They're going to be doing a music battle starting earlier today, so that's why we aired a little bit later on tonight. And then, of course, join us next week, next Sunday, for more wrestling and TV talk. Any last words from Alpha?
Yes, sir. You know how it goes. My people, please be safe. Don't take any risks. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. We'll be back again next week.